For years, Chip and Joanna Gaines were seen as the perfect couple. They were the faces of hard work, creativity, and love. Millions of people watched them on television, learning how to turn old, broken houses into beautiful homes. They inspired families across the country with their charm, their laughter, and their talent. On the surface, it seemed as if nothing could ever go wrong. Their life appeared flawless, filled with success, fame, and the admiration of fans everywhere. Chip, with his boundless energy and playful sense of humor, and Joanna, with her calm and thoughtful presence, seemed unstoppable. Together, they built an empire from scratch, not just in terms of business, but also in how they inspired people to believe that love, dedication, and teamwork could overcome any challenge. Their show, Fixer Upper, became a cultural phenomenon. Their brand, Magnolia, expanded into everything from home decor to a television network, and their story became a symbol of the American dream. But beneath this image of perfection, life was quietly testing them in ways that no renovation project could ever prepare them for. Behind Joanna's graceful smile was a challenge that would change both their lives forever. The turning point came quietly, almost unnoticed by the public. By 2022, the Gaines family seemed to have reached the peak of success. Magnolia Network had launched successfully, new shows were performing well, and the couple appeared happier than ever. Yet in private, Joanna began experiencing something she could no longer ignore. It started as a subtle discomfort in her back, something she initially brushed off as normal fatigue from her demanding schedule. After all, between long filming days, managing multiple business projects, and raising 5 children, a little back pain did not seem unusual. But over time, the pain grew sharper, more persistent, and harder to ignore. Despite her strength and determination, Joanna faced a reality that no amount of planning, hard work, or positivity could fix. After several medical consultations, the diagnosis confirmed her fears. Her spine had deteriorated over years of strain, and surgery would be unavoidable. For someone who had spent her life making others feel strong, this was a moment of vulnerability she could not avoid. For Chip, it was equally overwhelming. The man who had built his life around solving problems and fixing houses suddenly found himself powerless, forced to watch the person he loved the most face a difficult recovery. The news of Joanna's health struggle changed everything for the Gaines family. Chip, who had always been the energetic, protective, and playful presence in the public eye, suddenly became quiet and reflective. He paused ongoing projects, delayed public appearances, and focused entirely on supporting Joanna during her recovery. For the first time, the cameras were not rolling, and the showbiz world faded into the background. Chip's priority was no longer business, fame, or ratings. It was being present for his wife and children. Fans noticed his absence, speculating and wondering if something was wrong, but they could not know the depth of the challenge the couple was facing behind closed doors. Friends close to the family described Chip as almost fragile during this period, a far cry from the cheerful, joke-cracking personality the world knew. His heartbreak was private, genuine, and raw. Every step in the hospital, every sleepless night beside Joanna's bed, was a reminder that some problems cannot be fixed with a hammer, a blueprint, or a renovation plan. The love that had built an empire was now being tested in its most human form. Despite the difficulties, Chip and Joanna's story was not just about struggle. It was about resilience, love, and the quiet power of commitment. Before fame and success, Chip and Joanna were just 2 people from small towns chasing their dreams. Joanna, a communications student with aspirations to become a television journalist, met Chip, a business student trying to make ends meet after a failed baseball career. They married in 2003 and faced the ordinary challenges of newlywed life: limited finances, work stress, and countless setbacks. Together, they founded Magnolia Market, a small retail shop where Joanna designed handmade decor, and Chip handled construction projects to keep the business afloat. The early years were far from glamorous, filled with sleepless nights, unpaid bills, and constant uncertainty about the future. But through it all, their partnership thrived. Their love and belief in each other became the foundation for everything that followed. Every failed renovation, every new idea, and every late night in the shop reinforced their shared vision, that together, they could overcome anything. The Gaines' breakthrough came in 2013 when HGTV launched Fixer Upper. The show captured the magic of their teamwork and their deep, genuine chemistry. Chip's playful energy and Joanna's calm guidance created an authenticity rarely seen on television. Viewers fell in love not just with the transformations of homes, but with the transformation of ordinary spaces into places filled with warmth and love. Their designs changed the way Americans thought about home decor, but it was their personalities that made audiences feel connected. Behind every renovation, their marriage was a living metaphor for their work, taking something broken and making it whole again. This metaphor, however, would soon take on an even deeper meaning as their personal lives faced tests far greater than any fixer-upper project. As the Gaines' fame and influence grew, so did the pressures that came with it. Running a multi-million-dollar brand, managing a television network, and raising 5 children meant that even the smallest decisions carried weight far beyond what they had ever experienced in their early years. Every project, from designing a new home to creating a new Magnolia product line, demanded energy, creativity, and focus, leaving little time for rest or personal reflection. Joanna, known for her poise and strength, often mastered fatigue behind a warm smile, ensuring that the family business and public image remained impeccable. Yet, behind the scenes, the constant juggling took a toll on her health. The back pain she initially brushed off as routine strain became a daily burden, affecting her movements, her comfort, and eventually her quality of life. Even the smallest tasks, walking between filming sets, lifting materials, or helping children with homework, became reminders of a growing problem. For someone who had spent years being the anchor of the family and the driving force behind Magnolia's empire, this sudden vulnerability was jarring. Chip, who had built his life around being the protector and problem solver, felt the weight of this reality in ways he had never anticipated. He could fix houses, manage business crises, and entertain audiences with charm, but there was no tool, no strategy, and no plan that could restore Joanna's health instantly. The couple faced a situation that tested every value they had built their life upon: love, patience, resilience, and faith. As Joanna prepared for surgery, Chip made the conscious decision to prioritize her recovery above all else. He paused ongoing projects, postponed business meetings, and limited public appearances, creating space to focus entirely on the family. Friends noticed a new quietness about him, a deep introspection that replaced his usual outward energy. He became attuned to the small details of Joanna's needs, noticing her fatigue before she spoke, anticipating moments of discomfort, and offering support in ways that were silent but profound. During this period, their home became a place of healing rather than production, a space where the focus shifted from work and performance to care, presence, and connection. The children, sensing the change in rhythm, also adapted, offering small gestures of support and affection, showing that even the youngest members of the family could understand the gravity of the moment. In private, Chip reflected on what success truly meant. For years, he had equated achievement with productivity, completed projects, and public recognition, but now he realized that the greatest success was measured in moments of care, empathy, and shared strength. Watching Joanna navigate her recovery was both heart-wrenching and humbling. Every small milestone, from walking unassisted completing a household task, became a victory not just for her, but for the entire family. In those quiet days, Chip experienced a transformation, recognizing that being a partner meant surrendering control, embracing vulnerability, and showing love through presence rather than solutions. This period of challenge reshaped their understanding of partnership, family, and the meaning of resilience. The Gaines family story was no longer just about business, fame, or televised transformations. It was about navigating life's unexpected hardships together, discovering that love, in its truest form, often requires patience, sacrifice, and unwavering support. Even as the world watched from afar, unaware of the private struggles, Chip and Joanna were quietly demonstrating a profound lesson: that real strength is not always visible, and that the act of standing by someone you love to be the most courageous choice of all. To Joanna's surgery marked the beginning of a slow and challenging recovery process, one that tested every part of the Gaines family in ways they had never experienced before. Hospitals, which had once been unfamiliar spaces in their lives, became temporary homes of uncertainty, filled with beeping machines, white walls, and the sterile smell that reminded them of how fragile life can be. Chip was by her side every step of the way, holding her hand during pre-op preparations, whispering words of encouragement, and remaining a constant presence throughout her stay. The couple, who had spent decades building homes and designing spaces that reflected warmth and stability, now faced the reality that no amount of planning or skill could instantly restore what had been lost. Recovery was not a single moment, but a series of small, sometimes frustrating steps, regaining mobility, managing pain, and adjusting to new physical limitations. For Joanna, this meant confronting vulnerability in a way that her public persona had never required. The woman who had inspired millions with her calm and composed demeanor now had to rely entirely on the support of her husband and children. Chip, in turn, discovered a depth of empathy and patience that went far beyond his role as a fixer of physical structures. He became attentive to the small details that mattered, ensuring Joanna took her medications on time, arranging the home so she could move safely, and maintaining a calm environment that reduced stress and encouraged healing. His energy, once focused on projects and public appearances, shifted completely to the quiet rhythms of daily care, showing a family that love is expressed not only in grand gestures, but also in the consistency of presence and support. Their children, who had grown up witnessing their parents' drive and creativity, saw a different side of Chip and Joanna, one that emphasized tenderness, resilience, and the importance of family over fame. They participated in the care process, offering encouragement, helping with chores, and even providing moments of humor that lightened the heavy atmosphere. Slowly, the house transformed from a hub of constant activity into a space where patience, attention, and gentle routines became the new form of productivity. As weeks turned into months, Joanna made measurable progress. Every small milestone, whether it was walking a few steps unassisted or managing basic daily tasks, became a celebration for the entire family. Chip observed these moments with a mixture of relief, pride, and quiet amazement at his wife's strength. The experience reshaped his understanding of what it means to be a partner, reminding him that support, presence, and emotional availability are often more crucial than solving problems or controlling outcomes. Through it all, the Gaines family maintained a delicate balance between privacy and public life. While fans remained curious about Joanna's absence from social media and Chip's reduced public appearances, the couple chose to keep the details largely private, sharing only occasional updates to maintain transparency without exploiting the moment for attention. This decision emphasized the authenticity that had always defined their relationship and brand. It also highlighted the contrast between public reception and private reality. While viewers often saw flawless homes and seamless family interactions, the real-life challenges of recovery, emotional strain, and the demands of care were largely hidden from the spotlight. Yet, in these hidden moments, the Gaines story became even more inspiring. They demonstrated that true love is not measured by perfection, accolades, or appearances, but by the willingness to remain steadfast when life presents unforeseen challenges. Chip's unwavering commitment, Joanna's courage, and the children's compassion all combined to create a household that, while quieter and slower than before, radiated an authenticity and warmth that no television set or home renovation could ever capture. In facing this profound test, the family learned a lesson that transcended fame or business success. That resilience, empathy, and unwavering support are the foundations upon which both love and life are truly built. It was in these quiet, often unrecorded moments of care and devotion that Chip and Joanna Gaines redefined what it means to build something lasting, not just houses, but the intangible, enduring structures of family, partnership, and shared human experience. As Joanna continued her recovery, Chip Gaines began to experience a profound transformation, not just as a husband and father, but as a public figure whose life had long been on display. For years, audiences knew him as a cheerful, energetic, and playful presence on Fixer Upper, the man who could turn chaos into order with a smile, a joke, or a perfectly timed construction fix. Yet, the events surrounding Joanna's health revealed a different dimension of his character, one that was quieter, more reflective, and deeply human. He began to understand that some challenges cannot be solved with charm, wit, or hard work alone. Watching the woman who had always been his anchor face pain and uncertainty forced him to confront emotions that had previously been relegated to private life. For the first time, his identity was not defined by projects, ratings, or public applause, but by empathy, patience, and steadfast presence. In this period of introspection, he also became increasingly aware of the responsibility he had toward his family and his fans. Chip understood that his actions, even the smallest gestures, could influence those who admired the Gaines family, and he approached this influence with care. He limited public appearances and media interactions, not out of avoidance, but to create space for reflection, family bonding, and emotional recovery. This shift did not go unnoticed. Fans who had long admired his humor and energy began to see a more grounded, contemplative side of Chip, a man who had faced vulnerability and learned to embrace it rather than mask it. It was during this time that the Gaines' newest project, Back to the Frontier on HBO Max, was launched. Intended as a celebration of family values, resilience, and a spirit of adventure, the series unexpectedly sparked controversy. The show featured Jason Hanna and Joe Riggs, a same-sex couple raising twin sons, presenting their family as loving, hardworking, and deeply connected. For many viewers, it was a heartwarming example of inclusivity and modern family dynamics. However, the inclusion of a same-sex family led to backlash from some supporters within the evangelical community who had long been loyal to the Gaines brand. Prominent voices criticized the couple, accusing them of straying from traditional values. For Chip and Joanna, this was another test of character, this time on a national stage. Chip, who had already spent months facing private uncertainty and emotional strain, now had to navigate public scrutiny while maintaining authenticity. Rather than responding with anger or defensiveness, he approached the situation with calm and clarity, sharing his perspective on social media, a message that emphasized understanding, empathy, and the importance of love over judgment. He wrote that modern Christian culture had forgotten the value of listening, reminding audiences that kindness and compassion are not conditional on agreement or ideology. Joanna, still recovering physically and emotionally, supported him silently, embodying strength through presence rather than public statements. Their response to controversy reflected the lessons they had learned in the hospital, that patience, understanding, and empathy are often more powerful than public confrontation. The moment became, in many ways, a quiet comeback for the couple. By standing firm in their beliefs about compassion and human dignity, they reinforced the core values that had always defined their work and personal life. Fans responded with overwhelming support, praising the couple for courage, honesty, and resilience. In navigating both personal health crises and public debate, Chip and Joanna demonstrated that real strength lies not in controlling outcomes or avoiding challenges, but in embracing the complexities of life with grace, humility, and unwavering commitment to those you love. It was clear that their journey was no longer just about building houses or businesses. It was about building a legacy rooted in authenticity, empathy, and the enduring power of family bonds. At BY 2025, Chip and Joanna Gaines had entered a new chapter of life, one defined less by fame, television ratings, and public appearances, and more by family reflection and the quiet joys of daily life. After years of nonstop work, building an empire from the ground up, creating Magnolia Market, designing hundreds of homes, and producing multiple television shows, the couple began to realize that the true measure of success was no longer the size of a project or the popularity of a series. Instead, it was in the moments that could not be captured on camera, shared laughter around the dinner table, teaching their children lessons about resilience and compassion, or simply sitting together at home, appreciating the calm after years of relentless activity. Their children, who had grown up witnessing the highs and lows of public life, also became participants in this new rhythm. Drake, Ella, Duke, Emmy, and little crew were learning that life was not only about achievement, but about connection, empathy, and the patience required to navigate challenges. Chip and Joanna used their personal experiences, particularly Joanna's recovery from her spinal surgery, to teach the children about empathy, care, and the importance of being present for one another. Every small task, preparing meals, helping with homework, encouraging one another, became a lesson in love and responsibility. The family also explored new ways to bond, embracing activities that brought them closer together physically and emotionally. Dance lessons, initially intended as a fun hobby, turned into a metaphor for teamwork, cooperation, and learning to move together despite missteps. Workouts with their trainer, Don Saladino, were no longer solely about fitness. They became shared rituals of resilience, endurance, and humor, reinforcing the idea that challenges could be met together, not alone. Through these activities, Chip and Joanna emphasized that relationships, like homes, require ongoing care, attention, and maintenance. They taught their children that setbacks, whether physical, emotional, or professional, are a natural part of life, and that recovery and growth come from consistent effort, patience, and mutual support. At the same time, the couple slowly re-entered the public eye, carefully balancing their commitments to Magnolia Network projects and other ventures with the newly prioritized rhythms of family life. They returned not as the whirlwind personalities of earlier years, but as a more grounded, intentional presence, one that reflected the lessons they had learned through hardship and healing. In interviews and public appearances, they spoke candidly about the challenges they had faced, openly discussing Joanna's diagnosis, recovery, and the way it had reshaped their lives. Rather than focusing on fame or success, they highlighted the importance of human connection, vulnerability, and the strength found in loving and supporting one another through difficult times. Fans responded with overwhelming admiration, inspired not just by the couple's accomplishments, but by their honesty, humility, and authenticity. For Chip, the experience reinforced a fundamental truth: that success in life is not measured by the number of houses built, products sold, or television shows produced, but by the depth of relationships, the ability to adapt to unforeseen challenges, and the courage to embrace vulnerability. For Joanna, recovery was not only a physical journey but an emotional one, providing her with new perspective on the meaning of balance, priorities, and the importance of nurturing both her own well-being and that of her family. Together, the Gaines family illustrated a simple yet profound lesson. Even in the midst of wealth, fame, and achievement, the most meaningful structures in life are not built with wood, nails, or paint. They are built with love, patience, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to stand together, no matter what challenges arise, as Chip and Joanna Gaines looked toward the future. They began to reflect deeply on the legacy they wanted to leave, not just through their business ventures, television, shows, or Magnolia Network, but through the values, lessons, and love they instilled in their children and shared with their audience. For decades, their brand had been synonymous with creativity, hard work, and transforming broken spaces into something beautiful. Yet the trials they faced during Joanna's diagnosis and recovery revealed a truth that no renovation project could capture. The most enduring legacies are built through empathy, compassion, and the willingness to stand together in the face of adversity. They realized that their public image of perfection had often overshadowed the very human challenges they experienced behind closed doors. By embracing vulnerability, they demonstrated to fans that even those who seem unbreakable must navigate pain, uncertainty, and fear, and that doing so with courage and love is what ultimately defines strength. This realization influenced how they approached their work moving forward. Magnolia's projects, while still focused on home renovation design, began to incorporate a stronger emphasis on storytelling, inclusivity, and human connection. Every home, show, and product became not just a design statement, but a reflection of values that prioritize family, understanding, and care. The couple also took time to mentor younger entrepreneurs and creators, sharing insights about resilience, adaptability, and maintaining integrity in the face of both public scrutiny and personal challenges. Their experiences during Joanna's health struggles allowed them to offer guidance that was rooted in lived experience, emphasizing the importance of slowing down, listening, and balancing ambition with presence. Within their own family, lessons were equally profound. Their children witnessed firsthand that life is not measured solely by accomplishments, accolades, or material success, but by the strength of relationships, the depth of empathy, and the courage to support others through hardship. Chip and Joanna encouraged moments of reflection, conversation, and connection, ensuring that every child understood the value of patience, teamwork, and shared responsibility. Even ordinary daily routines, meals, chores, conversations, became opportunities to teach life skills and reinforce the importance of compassion and persistence. For the Gaines family, the home itself became a living classroom, a space where lessons about resilience, love, and shared effort were practiced daily. Publicly, they continued to inspire millions, but with a refined message: success is meaningful only when it is paired with care, authenticity, and a willingness to embrace life's imperfections. Fans responded not just to the design expertise of the couple, but to the depth of character they exhibited in navigating private struggles publicly and in demonstrating that even the most admired individuals face challenges that require patience, understanding, and unconditional support. Chip's evolution, from the energetic fixer and playful public figure to a quiet, reflective, and empathetic partner, became a symbol of growth that transcended the context of television. Joanna's journey of recovery highlighted the resilience inherent in vulnerability and reminded audiences that strength is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to face it with courage and grace. Together, they redefine what it means to build a life well lived, emphasizing that the most meaningful structures in existence are those forged through love, patience, and shared commitment. Magnolia, once known primarily for its transformative design, had grown into a brand that embodied values, legacy, and humanity, shaped not only by the work they did, but by the trials they faced, the lessons they learned, and the love they continued to nurture. In reflecting on their experiences, the Gaines family provided a powerful, universal message that real success is not in fame, wealth, or outward appearances, but in the quiet, consistent acts of love, care, and empathy that shape families, communities, and lives for generations to come. Through everything they endured, Joanna's diagnosis, Chip's transformation, public scrutiny, and the everyday challenges of raising a large family, they demonstrated that building a meaningful legacy is not measured in walls, roofs, or show ratings, but in hearts touched, lessons taught, and bonds strengthened through unwavering devotion.